Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Mike Huckabee.
My next guest was born and raised in Egypt, and he still has a lot of family there. He's very worried about what could happen in the Middle East if control of the Egyptian government falls into the wrong hands. Michael Youssef is the founder of the Evangelical Anglican Church of the Apostles in Atlanta, a wonderful and a magnificent church in Atlanta. Michael is a dear friend, and Michael, I want to say thank you for joining us today to offer your insight. Good to have you here.
I'm so honored, Pastor. I'm so honored, Governor. Thank you.
Have you been able to communicate with some members of your family back in Egypt, and what are they telling you that they see happening?
I have not been able to communicate with the ones in Cairo because the phone lines are down, but outside of Cairo, I was able to call several people, church leaders as well as family members, and they are really worried. They really are worried. Look, there are a lot of blame to go around, and I'm not here to defend Mubarak, but I lived in Egypt under Nasser, and I can tell you what dictatorship is like. Mubarak has done so many good things. Now, there are a lot of things that I can give you a list that he should have done. But he's done so many good things. He privatized the banks. He has, the economy grew by over 6.5%. He created a large middle class. But what happens when that takes place is that there is that expectations for more. And I have no doubt that some of those young people are really genuine in going into the streets and demonstrating. No doubt in my mind, but there are hands working behind those young people that are waiting, just like Khomeini used those Abu Hassan Bani Sadr and all of those educated people that we watched on television until he got in there and took in the power reins, then he immediately chopped their heads. Hamas did the same thing. Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood are very, very closely linked. And I have, every year for the past 20 years, I've been to Egypt preaching. And the Christians, of course, had some concerns. They've asked for change into the building permit situation for churches, and they had a tough time. And Mubarak tried to kind of really walk a tightrope between Nasser and Sadat. He would please them by tightening the noose on the Christians and not giving them the freedom, and then he would kind of arrest some of the leaders. And I've been reading their press, the Islamic press in Egypt, for a long, long time in Arabic, and this has been building up for a long time. They've been stirring the pot, and making false accusations of some woman who got converted to Islam, but then the church took her, and all this stuff. Excuses in order to keep the pot boiling. And Iran, make no mistake about it, is playing a role in all of this. They're trying to tighten the noose from Jordan and Egypt, the only two friendly countries to Israel. They're trying to tighten the noose around Israel. And we know, of course, what would happen if that takes place.
Michael, we know that the Muslim Brotherhood has always resented the fact that Egypt had a peace accord with Israel. It was the basis of the assassination for President Sadat. He loosened up some of the reins on the Brotherhood. Nasser, in fact, was very hard, even though he came to power with their help. Then he jailed and killed many of them, including, as we mentioned before with Alan West, Saeed Qutb, really the brains behind this movement. But if Mubarak goes out, what should be the primary concern we have of a new government if it goes softer on the Muslim Brotherhood?
And that's what most people, and sadly the administration, is not focusing on. There is no a mattress, if you like, that will catch the system when it falls. If the system falls, is going to be free for all, and the Muslim Brotherhood are the ones that are going to, these extremists, whether they'll call themselves Brotherhood or not, because they're divided within the Brotherhood. They have more militant than others. The militant ones are going to move for the kill. And make no mistake about it, they will use the secular educated Muslims to get to power, but once they do, they're going to get them out of the way, just like it happened how many times, goodness knows. It will happen again. And because their #1 goal is, of course, to break the relationship with Israel, create alliance with Hamas in Gaza, open that border, and then develop or redevelop that enmity with Israel once again. And that, of course, is the hands not only of Iran, but Hezbollah, who just brought down the Lebanese government. and now they put a puppet of Hezbollah as prime minister. So it's working all around the borders with Israel. And really, once Israel goes, God only knows. They're after the big Satan. America is the big Satan. Israel is the little Satan. They will go after us. In fact, they made no bones about it, that their mission, their third jihad, their third wave of jihad, is Europe and then the United States.
Michael, real quickly, before I run out of time, I want to ask you, in talking with your family members, do they feel safe in Egypt? Are they worried for their lives?
No, I just talked to someone this afternoon in Canada who was able to get through to her family, and she said her father is sick, he can't go to hospital, he's bleeding. The janitor and the people working in the building got knives and trying to protect themselves from the looters, which it's now, of course, free for all, that the police is not able to protect the people like they once had. I have been to the Ministry of Interior, that you hear people talk about it. I've been there several times as guest of several ministers of Interior, and they were fine people, good friends. And that is really the Alamo, and they're trying to get there because they know all the files are in that building, and the police is on the defensive. So I am hoping and praying that we will strengthen at least the regime for the time being, until they have some sort of a system of transferring power.
Michael, thank you very much. Michael Youssef, pastor of the wonderful congregation Church of the Apostles in Atlanta. From here, he joins us today.